All right, hello, everybody. My name is Joshua Long, Diesel Daddy Long, here again on another wonderful episode of Diesel Daddy Dollins. My man, Nick Dollins.
Holy ha.
And we got our favorite special guest appearance from the Money Murdoch, Dustin Murdoch. How you doing today, Dustin?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Fantastic. Nick, what's your day been like today?
Well, it's been with you all day, so.
It's got to be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, today we're getting into a really good topic, guys. This is something that, I really feel is expressing through us, through the infinite creator, right? We're all part of this one beautiful energy. And the topic that we're bringing to you today is to help you understand how to move your perspective from a state of doership, from the person that always has to be there and give their body and energy and time to maybe create money or more income or create the outcomes that you desire to have, okay? We're going to teach you today through some simple techniques and perceptions on how to let go, all right? So we're going to learn how to let go, and we're going to learn how to surrender and to utilize what would be called as devotion to abide in the silence and infinity of our infinite creator, which is what we all are, okay? I am that I am, and you are the same. Nick?
Yes, sir.
I love you, dude.
I love you too.
God, man, I have the best friends in the whole wide world. I mean, I seriously am so blessed in that manner. And if you don't have a best friend, man, follow our show, like, subscribe, comment down in the comment section. We'd love to give you a shout. We'd love to hear what you're thinking, and we will be your best friends as well. So we've got a little special introduction in the way that we're going to get started today. One of the things that I want to be able to bring to you is some actual tangible practices on how to take your perception from everything that's going out here, how to take that little mind and egoic personality, or maybe we call it the protective personality so you don't get triggered, right? And to take that voice and to turn it inwards and to abide in the body in the present moment. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a quick 5 minutes. We're all going to close our eyes. We're going to do a little bit of breath work. We're going to have a slight meditation, a little guided meditation to help us get into the body, and then we're going to move right into this subject. All right, so here we go. If everybody will just take some time to get in a good, comfortable seated position. If you're laying down, that's okay as well. If you're in an upright position, just, maybe put your hands on top of your knees with your palms facing up. We want to kind of relax the shoulders backwards and kind of stack the spine in a straight and upward position. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just all going to simultaneously, we're just going to take a big inhale and just ever so slowly let it go. And again. And let it go. One more big inhale. We're going to let it go. Now what I want you to do is I want you to bring your mind and your attention down to the bottom of your feet. I want you to bring your mind to the bottom of your feet, and I want you to feel your foot against the floor. There's a sensation that you can lock your attention on. That sensation that's between the bottom of the foot and the floor. And what we're going to do is I call out a body part. We're going to inhale deeply. And then whenever we let go, we're going to relax that body part. So we're going to hold our mind on the bottom of our feet. We're going to inhale. And then we're going to let it go. Relaxing that area. Now we're going to move our mind up into our toes and maybe give it a quick wiggle. And then we're going to inhale. And then we're going to let it go. Now to the top of the foot, that top arch. Inhale. Now into the ankles. Inhale. Let it go. Make sure that when we're doing our big inhale that we're breathing deeply down into the belly, Now we're going to move up into the calves and inhale and let it go. Now into the front of the shins. Inhale. Let it go. Now up into the back side of the knee. Inhale. Let it go. Now into the kneecaps. Let it go. Now move the mind up into the quads. Inhale. Let it go. Relaxing these body parts and leaving the existing body parts relaxed. We're going to move our mind now into our hamstrings. Inhale. Let it go. Let's move our mind up into our glutes. Inhale. And then let it go. Now into our crotch region. Inhale. Let it go. We're going to move our mind up into our lower back now. Inhale. Let it go. Now into our lower abdomen. Inhale. Let it go. Up into our belly buttons. Inhale. Let it go. Now we're going to move our mind up into our sternum, into our yellow ray. Inhale. Let it go. Really big, deep breaths when we go at it. Let's move right to the back side of that same area on our back in the middle of our spine. Inhale. Let it go. Bring it up into your shoulder blades now. Inhale. Let it go. Now move right up through the center of the chest into the heart ray center. This is our green ray. We're going to inhale. Let it go. We're just going to stay right here. We're going to repeat this breath. Ready? Inhale. Let it go. One more time to make it 3. Inhale. Let's move up into the upper chest. Inhale. Let it go. Now we're going to move into our traps in the upper part of our back. We carry a lot of stress right here. Let's take a deep breath. And let it all go. Now bring your mind down into your biceps. Inhale. Let it go. Now into the middle part of the elbow. Inhale. Let it go. Now into our forearms. Inhale. Let it go. Now into the front side of your wrist. Inhale. Let it go. Into the palms of our hands. Inhale. Let it go. Into the tips of our fingers. Inhale. Let it go. On the back side of the hand. Inhale. Let it go. In the backside of the wrist. Inhale. Let it go. In the backside of the forearms. Inhale. And let it go. On the tip of our elbow, the funny bone. Inhale. Let it go. Into our triceps. Inhale. And let it go. Back up into the armpits. Inhale. And let it go. Into the shoulder, the rotator cuffs. Inhale. Let it go. Into the bottom of the front side of the neck. Inhale. Let it go. Now move it up into our voice box, our Adam's apple, the middle of our throat. This is our Blu-ray center. Inhale. Let it go. Let's repeat that. Inhale. And let it go. Now let's move it up into our jaw. Inhale. Let it go. Now move it up into our tongue. Inhale. Let it go. Now into the roof of our mouth. Inhale. Let it go. Now we're going to move up into our nose. Inhale. And let it go. Now move directly to the center of the head behind the nose. Inhale. Let it go. We're going to repeat that. This is our third eye. This is our indigo ray. Deep inhale. And let it go. Now we're going to move up into the crown, the very top of the head. Move all of your attention and energy to the top of the dome. Inhale. Let it go. One more time. Inhale. Let it go. One more time. Inhale. Let it go. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to hold our attention at the top of our heads. Now we're going to take 3 really deep breaths. They're going to be a little bit quicker than what we just did. And you're just going to follow my rhythm, but at the end of that third breath, we're going to let it all out. And at the bottom of that breath, let all the air out of the body. And before you inhale, we're going to hold. And we're going to sit at the bottom of that breath. So we're going to do 3 breaths. Here we go. All the way out. Hold at the bottom. Do not inhale. Hold. Relax. Hold it. Okay. Now we're going to do one more sequence. We're going to do that same 3 breath sequence. But on this time, on the third breath, when we inhale real deep, and we have a full belly and a full chest and a full throat of breath, before we let it out, We're going to clamp our mouth, and we're going to hold that breath inside of our body, and we're going to squeeze the whole body from head to toe. And what we're doing is we're bringing all the last bit of that energy, that distortion, that stress from the day, from the week, from the mind. And we're going to hold, and we're going to bring our attention to all that energy, and we're going to squeeze. And then whenever I say relax, we're going to let it all out. All right, 3 breaths. On the 3rd breath, we're going to hold it at the top. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. We're going to hold at the top. Hold, and we're going to squeeze. And let it out. And the sensation will radiate through the body. Just lean into this feeling. Let go of any thoughts of what brought you here. Any thoughts of where you might need to be. There is nowhere to be but here and now. And present, here in the infinite void. Some may say in their mind, it's all black, I can't see. This is who we are, we're the field. When there is not an observer of energy, all energy must collapse into the field. Just kind of wiggle your fingers and your toes and just come back slowly. Kind of sway yourself back into the present moment. Just take notice of the room. We can open our eyes. And this, my friends, is a simple technique. Maybe if you've had some stress going on, maybe if you've had some distractions that are drawing your attention outwards onto things and places, peoples and situations. Maybe there's something that you're trying to achieve and you just can't seem to figure out how to achieve it. So you keep forcing yourself more and more to work harder and harder and to do more and to show up and spend more hours. Well, today we're going to show you how to become the non-doer. And how to abide in this infinite intelligence, in this silence of the mind, in the wholeness of all of creation. Because when we let go of the reasons of why we need to do it, or how we need to do it, or an expectation of what it should look like, when we let all of that go, and we silence the mind, and we abide in the silence of Creator, that is when the magic will begin to manifest effortlessly. So welcome to the next episode of Diesel Daddies.
All right. It's a hell of an intro.
What's up? What's up? Man, I feel good. I'm buzzing right now.
Before we get started, Dustin, I want to change my chair out too. Can you just hop up and hand me that?
Yeah, these chairs are really nice for this
know,
because it's
mine's
stern.
So freaky.
Yeah, it's really stern. Stern. That's a word of many definitions. You know why you guys are doing that? It's funny I say that, stern, right? A stern can mean many different things. In words in general, especially in the English language, one word can have multiple meanings. But what's important to understand that it doesn't matter how many meanings a word has, that word, every individual word, resonates at a very specific frequency. Okay? So, if we are speaking words outwards, like I am right now, you can hear me, I'm speaking words. If you are speaking words throughout your day, understand every word that comes through your mouth resonates at a certain frequency. And whatever frequency that resonance is, you are tuning into it in the moment that you are projecting it. Now, here's something also important to understand. If you have words or thoughts internally, the internal dialogue, right? Those words have the same frequency as the words that we're projecting outwards. And so if you're thinking words or thoughts or repetitive cycles of the same sentences or ideas, they too resonate at certain frequencies. And when we have that dialogue going, whatever frequency those words resonate at, we are tuning our body's frequency into that. Okay? And so what we're bringing to you today is the idea that if we can let go of all words in the inner dialogue, we then arrive at what would be resonant of peace, silence. And peace in this realm, in this world on earth, is the highest vibrational frequency we can achieve. And the name of the game right now is how high can I vibrate? How can my vibration be at its highest vibrational frequency for the duration of the day? And when we start to get up, a lot of people, the first thing they do, what do? They roll over and they grab their phone. Well, what we look at, what we tune into, what we listen to, what we utilize our five senses for, are to tune into specific frequencies. And so what we're now accomplishing here in the Diesel Daddies and our group network and our friends is the ability to let go of all things that no longer serve us. And that starts with silencing the mind. So before we get into all of this, I'd like to bring in Nick and Dustin for a quick hello and introduction, and maybe just whatever kind of comes to your mind for an introductory of what we're about to dive deep into. Dustin, how about you, brother?
I guess just what you're talking about is I had a lot of issues with being the doer, meaning I'm always creating anxiety for myself or depression or these lower states of frequencies, and those things derail you or me, and they keep you from having a great perspective on life. And when you're busy worrying and anxiety, you're not really focused in the present moment and being able to obtain just what it is that you're trying to obtain that day. So the biggest thing is that I've been able to do is change my perspective on reality, and to not have a propensity to always go to the negative, because that was probably my biggest obstacle in life, is just always being negative, always being anxious, always worrying about the next thing, always comparing myself to others, always like thinking that I should be somewhere that I'm not, and just understanding that the best thing I could do is just be. And so through the meditation, through the breath work, through the non-doership, through no thought, it's just, that's when you're in the present moment. That's when you can resonate at your highest frequency. At least that's what works for me. And you can see it in the people around you. And so it's not that I need to go have this career, make this amount of money, have this type of family, live this type of lifestyle. It's just, as my purpose, it's just to resonate at my highest frequency, because I affect the people around me in a state of love or bliss. And like Josh said, before you even enter a room, it's like people feel that there's something different about you. It's because we are all one, and call it telepathic. It's like I've always had people who could read my anxious mind. It's like you put off when somebody says, oh, that guy's kind of creepy. It's because you're running through rampant thoughts in your mind. You have anxious feelings, and those anxious feelings are rubbing off on other people, essentially. And so when you can harness the state of calmness and peace and love and serenity, people feel that too. And so that's what it is for me.
That was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you stole most of all the cool stuff to say on that, so, yeah, I don't even know how to really add on to that, For me, I guess, like, being a doer or a non-doer, the same thing. I never really struggled with anxiety as much. A lot of worrying about, me fulfilling the idea of what I had in my head of the character I was supposed to be, like a family provider, someone who makes money, has things, car, the nice house, stuff like that.
I feel like in some of your energy, you might have had like the master mapper. Like you don't really think about thoughts of worry, but you have a natural ability to map out your future and what works and what doesn't work very quickly, which is
So yeah, I have that skill now.
yeah, you have the skill now, but although a skill, right, it's still something that puts us out of the present moment.
Well, it's really turns into narcissism. If you are able to do that and you're able to think about the future and the place where you want to be and understand how to get there, then you start manipulating everything around you to serve that need and make everything about yourself. And a lot of people don't struggle with that, but a lot of people do. I got that from my dad, and he is, completely turned his life around. Also, we can probably unplug that doorbell.
Yeah, Dustin, we want to go grab that doorbell for us over there. It's right on the other side of that microwave. You can just pull the cord out the back of it. It's right on top of it.
Look at that ass.
Yeah, so a couple of these are different topics for us right here, and so
Yeah,
I can
just
kind
pull
of
it right out of that little machine.
so we can kind of on top of the microwave, see the little brown box there with the little speaker looking thing. Just pull the cord right out the back of it. Boom. So we keep throwing this term around, doer and non-doer, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, what does that mean exactly? And so I just want to kind of give you a quick outlook on kind of how I feel it, right? The doer, kind of like what Nick was just talking about, he's able to get into his head and he's able to map out strategies and strategic avenues for his businesses and for his mapping out how he's going to create more income, maybe how he's going to build his future with his family, right? Which is a beautiful thing to do at the right time. But what happens is once you figure it out, then we begin to try to manipulate things around us to get us closer to that goal. Okay, and so this would be the doer, the person that has to go out and we got to figure out how to do it. And then each day I'm going, okay, well, how can I get closer to this? Or how do I can do this or this out of the other? And, if I create this momentum, maybe I can get here. And, oh, man, that didn't work out in my favor, so I need to go convince this person that, right? We're constantly projecting outwards on what we can put the body physically through to achieve what it is we want. Okay, so that would be kind of like what the doer is. To arrive at a state of non-doership, right, is the ability to embody the outcome, okay? So maybe I sit there like Nick sat there and we both strategize in our head for a moment of what this end goal looks like, right? Well, the doer, like Nick was talking about, is trying to figure out what strategy it will take to get to that goal. The non-doer sees the end picture and can imagery it, and I can be there first person, and I can see the people that are there with me, and I can feel what it feels like to having already experienced and received this outcome. And there's an energetic sensation that arises, it cultivates, that matches that frequency, right? And I just give thanks. Thank you for giving this to me. Thank you for I have already received it. This is who I am. I am that I am. Thank you. And so now that the non-doer has embodied this experience as if it's happening right now, right? So be it and so it is. Okay, so now I don't create any strategy. I don't do any manipulation. I've already received it. Well, some people might say, well, Josh, you're sitting there in the podcast. How can you have already received that? Understand, we are multi-dimensional beings. We are connected to every dimension of existence, and we know for sure, science has now proven it, that there are at least 11 dimensions, and I strongly believe that there's many, many more. I think there's infinite, but like within our spectrum of our realm and the innate and all of that, we are connected to all 11 dimensions. And so when we close our eyes and we create imagery Or if we go to sleep and we go into a dream, those experiences are just as real as this one is. And so if I can, in my head and in my body, cultivate what does the energy and sensation feel like if I had already accomplished this goal, and I can cultivate it and feel it and see it and be there and hear it and know that I've already received it, well, then there's no need for me to do anything else. I don't need to wake up today and worry about how I'm going to get it. I don't need to wake up today and know how many of these things I got to sell or this what I got to do. I've already received it. And so the non-doer then just silences their mind and stays in the present moment all day long, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, radiating the highest vibrational frequency along the way. And so what happens? Well, there's two pathways. The doer goes through lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson. Might seem like things knock you down and then you got to get back up, and it's kind of just like right there outside of your grasp. You just can't quite obtain the financial freedom, or you just can't quite attain the beautiful, loving, trustful relationship, or you just can't quite get what it is that you're after. And the doer tends to go through that experience a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer, to where the non-doer just shows up every day. No thoughts, no worries, no expectations of outcome. I'm just here in my highest vibrational frequency, and then boom, out of nowhere, like a surprise, like a miracle, what it was that you embodied has no choice but to manifest as fast as possible. Dustin, what do you got on that?
Well, I think that I guess what's coming to mind as you're speaking is like, I'm over here conflicted with the idea that I started all of these things that you're talking about so I could manifest wealth and abundance in the form of finances. I'm like, well, all this manifestation stuff is real, and I'm pretty good, I'm pretty set, but I've always needed more, I've always wanted more. I see other people doing cool, fun things, and I've wanted to, and I know that manifestation is real. I've seen the result of things manifesting into my reality based on my thoughts, my internal beliefs, and I've good or bad. And so as we've been refining and refining and refining, it's kind of like, oh, well, I've created a state of bliss, but I still did not, achieve financial success.
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
From the time that you experienced the very beginning of that until now, have you been able to completely silence your mind with no thought the entire time? Or do you feel like maybe there's a little bit of hopscotch going on?
Well, yeah, that hopscotch are things that come into your external environment. So let's just say that you've began to, say, embody abundance, embody peace, embody I have everything that I need. And then someone comes into your, reality. So I picked up this woman the other day to take her to the hospital, and she was in a bad mood. So that began to trigger me, but I caught it immediately. And in my head, all I said was, it's okay. She's going through something right now that you have no idea what's going on in her life, and she's fine. And I took care of her. I put her walker up in the back, and I walked her to the car, and she immediately, just because I didn't allow that to trigger me, she instantly changed her mood and became very talkative and very peaceful and loving and kind. And that's just one example. It's like you embody what it is, and then something outside of yourself is setting you in the opposite motion. And so I guess when we started this, the whole point was like, well, I did this manifestation stuff for a little while, and I'm not getting the results that I want. Well, what were the results that you wanted? Well, I wanted $1 million.
Why would you want $1 million?
Because then I wouldn't have to work in the slave trade system anymore. I could have the freedom to do what I want, when I want, and where I want. And I wouldn't have to go to the job and clock in and have a paycheck and something that brings my vibration down, and be stuck with a bunch of people in a room where I don't want to be, essentially.
Absolutely. And let me add a little bit. We're going to keep your line going here, folks. But because a lot of people are going through this. Okay. And so Dustin's in the non-doership, right? and then things are happening on this external world. All right. Well, the attention I want to bring to us is, although we understand what non-doership is, are we still seeing the world from a state of separation, or do we see it as ourself? And so when you picked up the lady to take her to the hospital, did you say to yourself, oh, it's okay, she's just having a bad day, she's going to be all right, I see it? Or do we say, oh, I see that energy inside of me. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. This trigger, I'm not allowing it to trigger me because I'm aware of it. But I'm also aware that it's not some lady outside of me. This is just a distortion reflecting back to me to see, are you ready? Or are you still in a state of doership or a state of separation? So keep going.
Well, to me, it's like we've been working on these triggers for a while, and you said at the start of the show, I'm going to call it my protective personality because I don't want to trigger you. Well, that's
I said we
whole
could
point.
also call
Yeah.
it a protective personality so nobody gets triggered.
Right, and so the whole point of this state that we're attempting to refine is that we never get triggered, because it's that emotional response that is creating that reverberation of triggers in your life. And so whether that's I had somebody in my car who was just smacking their gum, just sitting back there smacking her gum. That's a trigger. You know, these are smaller triggers than the ones that were gargantuan that we were dealing with in the past, like relationships with my parents, relationships with not having friends, thinking everybody was lying and backstabbing and manipulative and out to get me. Those were some of the larger ones that we, got rid of. But now I've got a fly buzzing around my head.
Yeah, I just bought a new gun over there.
Yeah, no.
You keep talking,
no,
I got
that's right.
this.
No, that's a perfect example of the next trigger, because now I want.
manifested.
No, now when you want to get that's a perfect example. It's like, am I getting frustrated? And am I getting upset? Am I getting pissed off that I've got a fly, buzzing around my head now? And the answer is no. It's just something that is occurring. It's not one way or the other. It's not. It's allowing that emotional upstir and uprise with you. That's what's manifesting your reality. And so whether it's anger, whether it's you gonna shoot me in the face with that thing or what?
Yeah, this is the salt gun.
All right, just put it right
Keep
there.
going. Triggers. We're gonna hold on to this in case that guy decides to come back.
And so and then you have you take care of a bunch of dogs, and your puppy has happened to me. He gets out chasing deer at night, and he gets hit by a car.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like there's all these sad things that go on in the world, and people die, and it's just like amongst all this neutrality or whatever, you've got pain, that can
Absolutely.
come
No,
into life.
you're right on the dot, Dustin. And again, this is one of the most mind-twisting things to really grasp. And what we're doing here is we're building new paradigms. All right, so we're letting go of these old ideas of what we think is going on out here and how we think we're achieving these things and how we think that we're experiencing triggers and all of that, right? But again, the paradigm, let me explain the paradigm. The paradigm is that there is no other thing here other than you. You're the only one here. And that is hard to really sink in, because you're going to go, well, Josh, Dustin's right across the table from you, and he has his own feelings, and Nick's right over here, and he's got his own feelings and problems, and you guys are all three separate dudes in a room having fun on a podcast, okay? But let me tell you that you're the only one here, and you've resonated at the frequency to where your consciousness is reflecting in the form of the Diesel Daddy podcast. Because if you did not resonate at this frequency, then your consciousness would not reflect back to you in this manner. And so triggers, right, are the things we are letting go that no longer serves us, because it's those things that we've identified as triggers to be the things that are still holding us in a state of separation. There is no separation. There is no good or evil or right or wrong or yes or no or left or right or positive or negative, right? We see these things in this realm because it's a dual reality. God, creator, all that is, cannot experience itself in the vastness of its creation by itself. And so it fractalizes itself into all these different experiences, and then infinite amount of little pieces of light, of souls, right, incarnate into these different experiences, all entangled in the same thing. But each of us are here creating this experience because we are a fractal of that creator. We are God, each and every one of us, made of the same fabric of the infinite creator. And so everything you see outside of you is just simply a reflection of your inside. As above, so below. Everything all the way out to all of the planets, universes, galaxies, everything is all contained inside of our body to the infinite. The farther we look down into the atom, into the Planck, into the subplonk, into the strings, it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. If there is an observer to look at it, there is something there to see. And we have found that there is no end in either direction. The universe is expanding like billions of miles per second at all points and times. And so, again, the paradigm is just, again, the understanding that what we're letting go is the idea that there is something outside of us. Because once you arrive at this place of singularity, which is also silence of the mind, then there's nothing at all that can trigger you.
Which is why I also arrived to the point that I'm no longer doing this to like manifest $1 million anymore.
Perfect.
Because it's like when you reach this state of mind, you know, you understand that everything will be provided to you when it is that you need it. You know, whether you need that, even if it's just given to you right when you need it, it's just you've been taken care of. It's like, but I want more. I want this. I want that. I want to go here. I want to experience that. I want to do that. It's like, no, the present moment is where you want to be. And when you find the peace and the serenity and the present moment, and you're not thinking about the next thing that you say, and you're presently...
No, you're good, Dustin. Keep
okay.
talking.
Talk about Rufus?
Yeah.
Well, this is actually Rufus's debut right there. Everybody at the bottom right of the screen. There's a beautiful little creature, and that is the podcast manager, Rufus.
He's the manager of everything in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we keep hashing this out, I'm kind of like, like, what are we doing this for anymore? You know, like, we've talked about this for a couple of years now, and I've been on the whole manifest kick for, like, I mean, I've been in personal development and growth for, 15, 20 years now, spinning my wheels most of the time. But now it's just like, now that you're in this non-doership role, it's like, okay, cool. I'm not like, oh, man, I hope Josh calls me and asks me to go on his podcast, or, man, I'm going to go, I want to hang out with my cousins, or, man, I need to make this money. I'm just like, okay, I'm at work. I'm doing my thing at work. Next moment, Josh calls me, hey, let's jump on a podcast. Cool. All right, sounds good. Drive. No thought. I'm in the studio. Okay, Josh is saying a bunch of stuff, and my overactive mind wants to start going like, breath work, that's weird. And like, focus on my throat chakra. Okay, that's kind of goofy. It's like shutting that guy down, just going with the moment. Because it's like we live in a world where we've constantly been made fun of. We've constantly, if you're different, if you think differently, if you act differently, if you got a weird shape on your freaking nose or your forehead, it's like people have been criticized to no end. If you go through comments on social media, it's like, oh, you did this wrong, you idiot. You should have done this that way. You should have done this way. So it's like, as we get older, I feel like we become more critical. It's like we're roasting each other. It's like we're roasting each other to hurt other people's feelings and guard our own. It's like when you drop you have to undo the programming that is the criticism and the judgment that has been forced upon you, because I was definitely projecting that outside of myself, because I felt hurt by all the times that people have just saying, make fun of you for something, or tell you you're not doing something right, or look at all the failures in your life, look at all these things. It's like, no, God says I'm perfect in God's eyes. I may have made my mistakes, but I'm not dwelling on those mistakes. I've forgiven myself. I've forgiven myself for my quote-unquote shortcomings, my quote-unquote failures, and just learned to be in the present moment and to be my absolute best self. And that's how I show up for people every day in the best manner possible.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You know, and so everybody's following, right? Because we're kind of trailing here. We got step by step. We're moving into these. Okay, so what's the next step? The next step is okay, well, now once I first understand what the true paradigm is, and that means that we're all just one being, right? And then the second paradigm is that everything inside of me, all the energy inside of me, is reflecting in this physical experience outside of me, right? So my friend Dustin here, he is an energetic reflection of my inner energy. Okay, Nick is a reflection of my inner energy, right? Now, they're not separate from me, and I realize that. My paradigm is locked in. I understand that they are me in the reflection of my energy. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is okay, silencing the mind. But in tandem, once we realize there is no separation, there is no one outside of me, I learn how to drop the judgment. And what Dustin's talking about is when we're growing up, we're programmed with this judgment. We're programmed with attachment to wanting to have things or be someone or be somewhere or whatever it may be. When we silence the mind, the first thing we realize is that we're judging everything we see around us. We have an opinion about everything that we do, not everything that anyone else does. I mean, there would be times too, like you need to be in the gym, you'd see someone extremely overweight walk in the door, and that little voice just starts firing off, like, look at that fat ass, you know? Seriously, I mean, this happened for me at least, you know?
Oh, yeah.
All
the time.
I went through a period of lust, getting and balancing the lower energy centers, right? You know, and there's beautiful women all around, and it's very easy to be like, wow, you know, look at that. And so, again, all of these little different things in the different areas of our life is if you can silence the mind, you'll realize that you're now letting go of all the judgment and the attachment to things and definitions and ideas you have about everything out here. And so we understand the paradigm. Everything is one. We understand that everything outside of us is just simply a reflection of the inside of us. 2, we silence our mind, and in the process of silencing our mind, we must let go of all judgment and attachment. What is attachment? Attachment is simply words and sequences of sentences that defines what we believe to be outside of us. So we're letting all that go. And how easy is it to do? It's both the easiest thing in the world and the most difficult thing you've ever gone through. Because once you realize, really, like, you sink in, oh, this is silence of the mind. I've let go of the judgment. Like, something that I would have judged before, I'm now just sitting in observation at my highest vibrational frequency, which is projecting love.
Well, you have to become aware of these triggers. It's like, because you're running autonomously from one emotion to the next, one situation to the next. So you got to have to want to begin to understand and observe yourself in the process of being triggered by all of these situations. You got to then start to realize when you're in the internal mind and you're judging and criticizing people that were walking around you. Hey, fat ass. Hey, nerd. Hey, you know, hey, dumbass. You know, it's like, no. Hey, wow. You know, everybody in my life, I can sit there and say, wow, I can't believe they think that. Wow, you know, their thoughts are really, like, I don't agree with you on that. You know, I think you're crazy. I think you're nuts. You're going to end up in jail. You're going to end up this way. You're going to end up that way. And I just, man, it's real simple just to sit back and go, like, I love you just the way you are. You know?
That's it, baby. Learning how to, all those things you judged your whole life.
Yeah.
You realize now that you're just judging yourself.
And you're creating a buildup of an energetic buildup within yourself. But yeah, when you say you're judging yourself, it's like everyone has that spark of God inside of them, you know? It's not any different. It's just like we're all made of that same stuff you're talking about. It's like we all are God. We all are that spark. So it's just like you're slinging mud and it's coming back and hitting you in the face.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's funny, like with one of the things in the Bible, like one of the things I do believe is like, don't use God's name in vain. Well, God's name is the word. And so if we are to use the word in vain through judgment or attachment, then we're just crucifying ourselves over and over and over and over and over. But it is a beautiful arrival to have this realization, because that's what it is. It's a realization. And when you fully realize it, then it becomes easier. And then it gets easier, but then it gets harder. So don't think once you get in there that it's just going to be all peaches and cream, because it is effortless work. That's a difficult one right there. Effortless work. Okay? Because once you understand what it is that we're doing, now you're going to be in a position of, okay, wait, I'm observing the body. I know what to do, but I'm observing the body still moving in motion of something that's against really what it is I'm trying to do. And so, what are some techniques? How can I create without being the doer? That is the question. Okay, we understand kind of the steps and the processes now, but how do I actually obtain non-doership, and how do I arrive at this beauty, you call it? Because I think myself, and I would probably say Dustin and even Nick over here, when we arrived at a silent mind, we almost lost the tenacity for life. Things just kind of...
well, just think about it. One of the main driving factors in people's lives is their ego. Competition. I need to be better than you. I need to constantly... That's that
protective personality I was talking about.
Yeah, I need to over-talk you. I need to be better than you. I need to have more than you. And I kind of realized in this first whole non-doership, neutrality kind of aspect, it's like, oh, I'm no longer being driven by my ego, which is was kind of nerve-wracking at first, because I'm like, oh yeah, but where's my competitive spirit to be better than someone else? And it's like, oh well, there's no one outside of myself but me. And so it's like, because a lot of people will also manipulate you in those ways, like, well, why aren't you as good as Josh, or why aren't you as good as your cousin? Well, Tim's a doctor. Like, what are you doing with your life?
Right. And if we see that in our experience, and we feel that in our experience, that's just simply our consciousness giving us the breadcrumb, the trail to go, here, let this go. Here, let this go. Here's some things to make you feel doubtful about yourself. It's what you need to let go. Right? And so it's a beautiful experience to be triggered and to see judgment, but not judge. It's beautiful to arrive at the understanding that yourself, your consciousness, is your teammate in this life. And that it's not out here to destroy you or cut your legs out or not provide for you, but to give you absolutely every opportunity to be the most beautiful angel here on earth that you can be.
Nick?
Yes, sir.
What's on your mind, man?
Man, just listen to you guys get back and forth on this one. Going back to, because we talked about it in a previous podcast about kind of losing purpose or whatever, and kind of losing the ego, and I did completely, and now I find more purpose in doing things just because I just want to fucking do it,
like
I don't really have a attachment to making a lot of money because of the person that presents that I could be or whatever. I just want to fucking do it.
Like what?
Well, what am I doing to make money? Or
no, like what do you mean? You just want to?
Can you give an example for us?
Yeah. So
if you want to buy that candy bar, you're just gonna buy that candy bar. Who cares?
No, I mean, not really like
about
that.
Corn
so
syrup.
When I shut down my last business, I took a big break, and it cost a lot of money to shut that motherfucker down. I think I lost like $250,000 cash. That I had to pay back. It was a lot of money, and so I took a break. That's when I partnered up with these guys, wanted to add value and stuff. And now, like, going through a spiritual journey of, kind of losing the ego and stuff. It's like, I don't really want to go make money anymore. I don't really see a spiritual aspect of it anymore. Now, kind of like the opposite. I see a lot of purpose in pursuing personal excellence, because that's the only way to really raise your vibration. If you become so heady and you're spiritual all the time, but you are not really doing anything of any substance, you just become nobody, and you can just become nothing. There's nothing to you. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and make money, and I'm using money as an example here. I'm not saying you have to go make a lot of money, because there's tons of purpose in this world that don't revolve around money, but that's just something I always go to. And I just do it because I just want to do it, and there's nothing else I want to do. It just brings me joy and excitement to go out and buy things and flip things. And like I bought something today that I'm just going to go flip. I'm just going to start fucking doing it again. I just want to make a shit ton of money because I want to do it. I go to the gym just because I love getting in there and just destroying my body completely alone with no music and just sweating.
And then watching it develop.
Yeah, well, that's how I really grow myself, I haven't been working out with Josh a lot lately, not because his workouts are amazing, but I don't get a lot of alone time from here to home, and that's where I personally recharge. Some people are social people, get out and recharge. I like to be completely isolated, regain my thoughts, then empty it all out, and then just do something,
That's beautiful, dude.
And I found a lot of purpose again in just doing things that I want to do, but the result is I'm not attached to it anymore. I don't really care if I do make a lot of money, but I know I'm going to. But it's a weird thing to describe.
We had this a little bit of this conversation. There's two things. Remind me to talk about recharging after I'm done with this. But the concept when we talk about being the doer and the non-doer, right? The non-doer still physically moves and acts within this world as the doer does. Okay? And what takes place is when you become the non-doer, which means we've silenced our mind and we're just here. I'm just present in this moment. And whatever next moment arises, it manifests, right? I need no thought about that because I know that in every moment I will perform at top peak performance in every moment. And so we were talking about money. Money is a beautiful thing. Right? It is an energy, and it's an energy that's within you as well. And so where maybe Nick had this idea before about, okay, hey, you know what? Money maybe has this idea that only bad things can happen whenever you get to so much amount of money, right? Well, that's a paradigm. But then we had this beautiful conversation. We rewrote this paradigm. Yeah, you know what? And one of the things I encourage everybody to do is constantly use affirmations. Money is a beautiful thing. I flow with money. My bank account has billions of dollars in it. Now, some people might say, Josh, show me your money because I know you ain't got $1 billion. But it matters not what the illusion says to me. It only matters what programming and what affirmations and what subconscious beliefs that I have about my experience. Money flows freely through, to, and from me. Everyone around me is affected and elevated by the amount of love and abundance and income and money that I am able to produce through the love of this infinite creator, right? Because we can do a lot of good with money, right? And we need good, conscious millionaires and billionaires to help shape this world. And so what we're teaching you now is how to arrive at that, right? Effortlessly. And now when I say effortlessly, mentally effortlessly, okay? So let's get into a structure. Okay, recharging. Nick talked about being alone, and it's just really one of his only times that he gets the chance to recharge, right? And what that means is that anytime that I give myself to people, right, or I give myself to work, or I give myself to whatever it is outside of just being solitude and silent and just by myself, I am giving my energy, my soul essence out constantly to be there for them and to show up in this manner and be a good father and to be a good brother and to be a good community person, right? Well, one of the things we can do to recharge that battery is to move into a state of meditation and silence. Because when I take my outward perspection and me showing up and doing and being the best and always working and blah, 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 to just being by myself and shutting my eyes and moving my attention from this outer world of formation and forms and objects and people, and I bring it internally like we did when we were doing the breath work, and I just sit here, well, what happens is you begin recharging. You begin building energy. You begin building vibrational frequency, okay? And so there's a good structure that I like to follow. So when we wake up in the morning, right when you wake up, first thing, you're coming out of sleep, you're coming out of that dream, sit up, get in a meditative seat, go sit in your bathroom, turn the lights off, put a pillow on the toilet, sit on the floor, lay down on the floor. You got to get out of bed because just laying there in bed does not work, okay? Don't grab your phone. Don't get on the email. Right? As soon as you wake up, I want you to get in a meditative form. And I want you to just do that simple breath work we did. And you don't need to think about anything. That's what we're letting go of, is the thinking. Right? And spend that first 10, 15, 20, maybe an hour. You'll build. It'll build. In the beginning, you'll close your eyes and you'll silence it. And then that mind's go, hey, man, you got to go. Hey, man, you got to get up. You got this email. You got to go feed your dogs. You got these responsibilities, right? And you're just going to sit there and you're just going to observe that voice, because you realize that you're not the voice. You're not the body. You're not this world. Yet you have all things within you. And so every single morning, practice this, start this. It will change your life, because when you change your energy and you let go of the need and attachment to want and to judge and to do, then everything around you begins to reflect back in that peace, in that abundance. And so the structure is, when we wake up, we're going to spend that first 10, 15, 20, 45, or an hour, that first part of your morning, because our brain waves are changing. They're shifting. And you come through this theta brainwave state. And it's in this theta brainwave state that we can actually utilize these techniques of embodying these imageries and experiences that we wish or desire to have. Now, we no longer want them. We no longer need them, right? Because that's an energy of, I lack that which I am after. And if I'm projecting the energy that I lack that which I am after, which I seek, well, then the universe says, okay, I'll give you more reasons in your life to have lack of that. And so we're going to change our momentum. And we're going to shift the energy by starting with this structure. We're going to wake up. We're going to get right out of bed. We're going to get in a position. Maybe it's on a flat floor. Maybe it's seated up. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to breathe deep. And we're just going to sit there and we're going to start letting go of all the thoughts. If the thoughts come in, just watch them. Let the thoughts go right out. You will arrive at a state of silence. First, just practice getting into this mode. Then, when you wake up, you're going to be feeling good. You're going to come out of your meditation. You're going to have a little buzz. You're going to find that your energy actually begins to build. And each morning it's easier. It's almost like you get up and you're like, oh man, I'm ready to get in my meditation spot. And then you're going to realize that that energy is going to start carrying into your day. You're going to show up at work brighter and more energized. The people around you are going to start realizing it. You're going to start seeing some synchronicities in your life. Repetitive numbers, words, names of people, right? Things are going to start speaking back to you. And when you see those synchronicities, you know you're in the right spot. And so throughout the day, when we leave our meditation, then we move into the practice of present moment, okay? Which means I have a silent mind and I have all 5 of my senses, my touch, my hearing, my smell, my taste, right? We're going to plant all of these senses into the present moment. And when I'm doing something, I am feeling that something through all 5 senses, and I have no thought in my head. And so the object is from the time you get out of your meditation, then you just move into the present moment and just move from moment to moment to moment. Maybe I go to football practice. When you're in football practice, you be the best football player you've ever been in your life. You will perform at top peak performance. You need no thought to do that. You leave there, you go to work, you show up at work, you're the best salesman that's ever been. You need no thought to know how to be the best salesman. You just close every deal in the day.
Boom.
You leave that, you go home to your relationship, your mother, your father, your spouse, your children, and you have this beautiful dinner there for you, or you're taking them out, right? You're just fully embodied in being the most loving expression of yourself, to be there fully present for your family. And then when it's time to go to bed, here's the second most important time of the day. Just like when we're coming out of sleep, we go through these brainwave states. Well, when we're going into sleep, we go reverse into your deep sleep, and we come back through that theta brainwave state, right? And so what we want to do is, before we go to bed, just go ahead and get back in that meditation position and do your breath work. And you know what? All the things that may have happened for the day, just sit there and observe it and just let them go until the mind silences again, right? And just be there with yourself. This is, I think, the most important thing at first. Before we even get into the next stage of creating what that image looks like and embodying a new energy or experience, let's just first spend some time with ourselves, because that's how we recharge.
100%, dude. I think that's one of the most important things you can do in your life at all, is learning how to spend time with yourself, because it's really all there really is in your life, is that.
You're always spending time with yourself, but never spending time with yourself. Isn't that a paradox?
I know. That's kind of weird. You know, one thing I wanted to touch on, you were talking about manifesting earlier, and I wrote this down. So when you were talking about embodying how it's going to feel to achieve certain things, and my experience again with this is money, and that's, everybody always thinks that money's going to bring freedom and bring you happiness or whatever. I remember when I had an idea of who I wanted to be, making a lot of money, what that was going to feel like. I didn't know really what manifesting was, but I was always embodying that, you know, kind of like a vision board
You
type
can see
thing.
it. You can
Yeah,
feel
I could see
it.
it. I could feel it. And, you know, I remember the first time I got a really large check. I got a $60,000 check written to me, and that I earned through my business. And getting that check was nothing like it. Like when I accomplished something on my vision board and I actually got it in my hands, it was unlike anything I'd ever felt. Not in a good way. It was totally different than what I thought it was going to feel like. You know what I mean?
This
in
is
a very
good,
negative
I like
way.
where this
You
is
kinda
going.
See what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no, keep going.
So, and I feel like sometimes when people are trying to manifest, pray for things or whatever, and they're embodying what it feels like, and God's refusing to give it to you, because it's almost like God saying, no, that's actually not what it feels like, and you're actually not being the person that's ready to handle even what you're asking for. You're pretending to be this person, and God will never bless who you pretend to be.
I love
And
this.
so, what was that feeling that you got? Was it?
Hey, real quick before you go in that,
Yeah.
this is so fun, okay? So when we ask for something, or we embody it through imagery and manifestation, like we're talking about, our higher selves, their duty is to give us every reason of why we are not.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And so you've got the $60,000 check in your hand, and I guess were you looking for something like you thought money would fulfill you in some type of way? Or
Yeah,
like,
I mean, some type of validation, and you know, for kind of hearing what you talk about, I feel like you might be in the beginning stages of struggling. How I felt about it, not how I felt about it, but I felt like, you know, once I got to a certain level of success, where it was cash flow or money in the bank account, or you know, etc., that family would be easier, life would be easier, people around me would appreciate me more, and I could show up to situations and take care of people, and realizing that, like, I got this money, I can actually go and do that now, and this is how it's going to be. And then you show up to those first few moments and you start doing, it's like, oh, I can pay for this. And then how everybody kind of turns against you all of a sudden. You're like, dude, I was not fucking expecting this. Everyone just hates me all of a sudden. No one's my friend anymore. It's like, oh, everybody called me fucking money bags forever. And you lose. That's part of it.
You had achieved some certain success that.
And you lose all your friends as you become successful, no matter what.
Jealousy.
Jealousy happened a lot, but you know, I was ready for that. I almost wanted that. I knew it was coming. You listen to anybody talking about success, that's what they're going to say. You lose a lot of people just because you're at a different frequency.
You're at a different frequency, and if they don't resonate, they ain't going to be around.
And, you know, I remember getting that check and looking like I would just check my banking and just see those numbers in there. You know, I've never seen an extra digit in front of the comma.
Yeah. You know, and too, it's when you're talking about this, I want to kind of bring this to everyone's attention, right? Like, if we have the idea when we're manifesting something that when I achieve it, it's going to change something in my life, well, then we're still seeing from a state of separation. And what we're actually saying to the universe is, I lack what I'm after, And the only way to get it is if I have money. Now, we might not be saying it in that manner, but energetically, that's what's happening. And so the universe goes, okay, all right, here you go. Let me give you a little taste of this and see what kind of lesson you can learn from this. And so when we really get to the essence of being one, of embodying it, there is nothing that I could ever achieve in this world that could ever make anything more perfect or balanced than I am already right now. And I have everything necessary along the way of the process. And in every situation, I am able to help whoever is in need in every moment. Maybe that's through time spent with them, a hug, a hello.
You know, that's kind of a good point I want to touch on, too. People think that when you have more money, you'll be able to help more people, and that's just not true.
Not true.
And, you know, a lot of times giving away money to people, this makes them even more bitter. And, I mean, yeah, just that. I mean,
yeah,
like
it does.
Like, you can help just as many people, and you'll actually help way more people just being more present in a moment and seeing somebody that needs help with something. Because, I mean, everybody has money problems, and money doesn't solve any problem in your life spiritually. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, if you're behind on your bills, you know, money can solve that problem. But to truly, if you really want to, just it's a quick Band-Aid for a day, you know. But if you really want to help people, just being there and responding to everything in love towards that person is what really helps people. And money can actually be a facade to, you know, to just fake love, you know.
It could be.
I remember,
absolutely.
you know, this was actually one of the first things I did. I always had it in my mind that when I started making money, I would give away cars for people, and I felt like that was going to bring me a lot of joy. And really, anybody who says that it did is full of shit, because it doesn't. I remember the first time I bought a car that I was going to give away, man, I was so excited. I was going to do it, and the whole experience, I was just so mad and like bitter, and then giving it away. And I thought this person would be extremely grateful, and I mean, they were too. I mean, it wasn't like they weren't, but
you had created an expectation of outcome.
Exactly,
right?
And then when I gave it away, it just was so unfulfilling that like, it was very strange. I've given away like 5 cars, I think, in my career, and I eventually just stopped doing it. And because I realized I really wasn't even doing it for them, I was just doing it for me, and it didn't help them at all. It actually hurt me a lot more in the long run, because I'd give cars to people and then they'd expect more from me, and then it'd cause this crazy situation in life where people just thought I had, you know, millions of dollars and can give them what they want, but it made them even more dependent on me, because I all of a sudden like opened this strange pathway. Not saying if someone in your life is going to give you needs a car, you do whatever you feel called to do at the time. But I had this idea in my head. That's what I was saying. Like, I'm manifesting this goal. Like, I'm going to get to the spot. I'm going to be able to help all these people with this money I'm going to have. I'm going to give them stuff that they couldn't get on their own, and it's going to be great and peaceful. And I got this money, and I did these things and approaching these things with excitement, and nothing feels at all like I thought it was going to. So I guess I brought all this up to get your idea on that, because you were saying embody how it's going to feel to get all this money and stuff. But when the reality of it comes, it can be so different.
So let me share this with you, okay? So in your manifestation, you were seeing people outside of you not abundant. And you felt that there needed to be a character in this world that can provide that for them.
Yeah.
So what I offer you is instead of even trying to create an idea on how to help or this, that, or the other, or how we can be good to people, or what we can do to make a difference in the separation of the world, because if there's no separation, there needs to be no difference. How about we just see inside and manifest everyone thriving through their own development, and understand that when we are in position to be able to do something for someone, if we have the means to do it. If you decide to do it, right? But if we create a situation of imbalance that we think we can fix or that we can balance, what's happening is we're creating a state of separation, which takes us off the track of what it truly is we were wishing to accomplish. And so even past the fact of seeing ourselves perfect and whole and balanced and abundance and all of that, we also have to see everything inside and outside of us in that same light. So I don't see anybody poor. I don't see the world crumbling down around us. I don't see inequality. Now, I might get some backlash for this, but that's just simply because you're seeing from a state of separation. I love everybody, and everybody that knows me knows that I'd give the shirt off my back for anyone of any race, of any color, of any stature, of any country, of any planet, of any alien race. I'm here for all that is, right? And so we have to be able to start seeing a world thriving and balanced. We need to be able to see everyone having the opportunity to be able to express and travel and be beautiful essences of the infinite creator that we all are. And so that's just a small paradigm shift is all that is.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to experience that, which now allows you to have perspective of it, and it allows you to see another pathway and understand the differences in those energetic pathways, which will then allow you to be an even more beautiful soul and spirit and vibration on this earth.
You're also giving me a new perspective based on your experience with that, because it's like you say, well, I don't want to always make it about money, but it's like everybody makes it about money. No matter where you go, no matter where you've been, whether it's getting together for Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's always, what are you doing? What are you going with your life? Are you in school? Are you in college? What kind of job are you going to get? How much money are you going to make? You know, or it's like, hey, did you hear such and such down the street? And how successful their kids are doing and how much money they're making. And it's like, oh, do you have money to do this? Do you have money for groceries? Oh, the prices are so expensive. And it's like, but what you described, holding that $60,000 in your check, thinking that you were going to be able to help yourself and help everyone around you by having that kind of money, and it actually had the reverse effect on you. It's like, it kind of opened up my mind to, what do people really want then? If it's not really money that's going to make their lives easier, what is it? And it's like, so it's like, I feel like I've been able to give people gifts in their life that no one has been able to give them. The gift of not thinking in a judgmental, critical fashion when they're speaking to me, and listening to in a silent, unbiased mind, because what people want most is they want to be loved by somebody. They want to feel heard. They want to feel appreciated. And if you can offer those things in life to them, people, it's almost better than, say, maybe receiving that new car.
Yeah, think about like all the most important core memories in your life. Everyone here, just think about it in your head. I guarantee you not one single one of them that meant the most to you was someone walking up to you with a handful of cash.
Never.
Not one. And yet we pursue this idea of like, that's what's going to bring me happiness. But like, and at the end of your life, like you're not going to be like, man, I'm so glad I gave them money. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's really going to matter is the immediate influence of people you can love the most.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I've had the thought of like, I can't believe I just gave away all my shit. Like, like there was a time in my life where I had a bunch of money too, and I ended up essentially giving it all away. And then I was like, because I was just, that was me, dude. I was just, if you wanted it, you could have it, and I just gave it to where I had nothing left of my own, And I sat there for years just going like, what the hell were you thinking, dude? It's just like, but at the end of the day, it's like, that doesn't matter. It's like, of course, I created some experiences in some people's lives where, you remember when he did that, and it's like, nobody, who does that? Nobody does that. I mean, Josh has done that. We got a few other friends that they do that, but it's like, not to the extent of like, I'm just like, yo, here, take it all,
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between being a good steward.
Yeah, you have to be a good steward of what you got going on, and I think we've all gone through that. Mm-hmm. I've given away a lot too, but never has I ever had a thought that like, oh, maybe I shouldn't give it away. I just give it away, right, when it's needed, and I have it and its ability and it can help. But ultimately, I think what we're arriving at here is what is our true purpose, right? Well, there's two things. The first thing is what we wish to experience is high vibrational frequency, right, which is love, joy, willingness, peace, right? These emotions that resonate with that, right? Joy, right? We all want to be joyful, right? Who doesn't want to be joyful and in love, right? But so that's one thing that's really what the nitty gritty gets down to, is the feeling, right? It's not about what we're doing. It's about how do you feel, right? And how high is that feeling in that vibrational frequency? And so here's our purpose. It's to learn how to be in service, right? This podcast right here, this is a little way that we're all able to be in service to someone. And it's the greatest feeling in the world. Whether there's a billion people watching it or not, it's the greatest feeling in the world to be able to share information that might help one person. Maybe it's just one person it helps let go of that depression, and they decide no longer that they want to lose their life, but that they now want to be in service and to be the love that can expand into someone else and into someone else and into someone else and into someone else. And let me tell you, once you taste it and you feel it and you comprehend it, it just takes off like a rocket.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes that I heard, I think I actually heard it from Tony Robbins, he said, if you're suffering, it's only because you're thinking about yourself.
Oh, this is great. Okay, so everything that you are going through right now, it's important to understand that you're the one creating it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're suffering over and over and over, it's because you're addicted to suffering.
Yep.
And so, again, what we started out with is, okay, let's let go of all these words and sentences and words and voices in our head and ideas and concepts, because it's those words that are repetitively coming in that's creating the suffering. And so when we let go of everything that's not serving us, which means we let go of all thought process, and we just show up in the highest love that we can possibly be and stay present with no thought in our head, well, then you'll realize the suffering disappears. And then what arises is new emotional events that bring new emotional feelings. And even when it's good, we have to remember no thought, just feel it. Move out of the mind, move out of the outward projection, and move into the body. And when a joyful feeling or experience happens, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just sinking into how great my body feels and how happy I am. And that's it. It's very simple. It's very paradoxical.
Well,
that's what it's for.
It's a lot of words to describe something so simple.
Yes.
It's like we're word vomiting on everybody, but it's like maybe confusing, maybe you don't understand. It's just like, wow, these guys really must know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, it's really just as simple as just knowing, and then not. I can't explain it. It's like I've studied.
It is even to try to explain it almost lowers the vibrational frequency of the state of being we're talking about.
Well, it does. I think we're watching a video. Well, I don't know if I was with you or not, but we're saying something that, like, when you gain knowledge and know something, you're raising your frequency up and gaining this knowledge, and then when you're talking about it, you're going back down, because that's what raises other people
sitting
up.
Here talking
gain
about
the
all
knowledge,
of our,
back down. I mean,
giving it a power, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to sit here and continue beating over my hardships, oh man, this is where I failed. This is where I've been not good to people. It's like that's creating that repetitive motion to keep happening to you. It's like, even though I'm over here claiming, I've healed myself, there's a new me, but I'm sitting here still harping on the same stuff, same old story. The speaking things out loud you're talking about is the cymatics. It's it's going to reverberate back into my next experience. Mm-hmm. And so you may not be able to drop all the thought. And so, because I understand, I've been observing my thoughts in different situations and circumstances pretty regularly over several years now. And, identifying the things that trigger me, identify things of my thought, and even sitting here in this podcast booth and, to be able to sit here in present moment and to actively listen to Josh and to Nick without thinking about what I'm going to say next, without having some sort of critical, judgmental thought about what's coming out of their mouths, and just sitting here with absolute presence of mind. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that those thoughts are still popping up. So it's a constant battle to bring it back to present, catch yourself, bring it back to present. And then there are moments during my life where, the thoughts are running, but I'm no longer identifying that's kind of like a trick, a hack that I've come up with, is I'm no longer identifying myself with those thoughts. I'm just allowing them to just kind of run, but I'm not like attaching myself to them, meaning I'll let one thing get me and take me into a state of depression as easy as I was before. And so it's just like, okay, cool, there's these things here, maybe a thought comes up where I did something in the past that I no longer vibrate with. It's like I've been following the mantra that you gave to me, which is I thank you, I love you, I forgive you. Forgiveness is the biggest deal. You can ask for forgiveness from someone else, but it's never really out of your aura until you forgive yourself. And so that's another act of like, it's like, okay, you're exactly who you need to be. You're right where you're saying the right things at the right time at all times. It's like you are divine. You are amazing. You are incredible as you are. You don't need to be something.
And when you're saying these things, you want to put them, when Dustin's explaining this in general term, but when you're saying these things, you're saying, I am this, I am that, I am. I am, right, is the most powerful vibrational somatic we can project or dialogue internally. And anything that follows that phrase, I am, da 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 da, instantly manifest in the 6th density. Now remember, we're graduating into the 4th density, and so we're in a 4th density planet, but also still with 3rd density lingering energies, and some of us are still in 3rd density planet. So the 6th density is where our higher self resonates. And so to backtrack here, when Dustin's talking about how he's been able to move into a state of just simply observing the thoughts, he no longer is attached to them, which means it doesn't allow him to emotionally trigger him anymore. He hears the thoughts, and then the thoughts disappear. That's the first step that everyone's going to arrive at. Is you're going to silence your mind in times. You're going to meditate, and you're going to get into that good deep sensation, that real buzz, that real beautiful high vibrational frequency of silence. But when we're working through the day, right, or we're having conversations with people, you're going to realize that voice coming through. And the idea is in the beginning, when you're working on being present moment, that you are so hyper aware that your observation is so hyper aware that not one thought comes through your head without you going, oh, I see you. And if it's something that's down talking to yourself or to someone else, like Dustin said, use the Ho'oponopono code. It's an old Hawaiian clearing code. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And remember that we're not saying this to anyone else. You're talking to yourself, as God. Because God is the one doing this. I am not a character or a person or a physical object that's doing it. I am just simply the awareness that gets to witness this beauty and glory as it unfolds. God is who's working through me. God's the one who's speaking. God's the one who's seeing. God's the one who's analyzing. The only way God gets to experience itself is through the infinite different perspectives of every single being and every single object and every single formation of anything at all in this realm is how God gets to experience itself. And so you're going to come through those steps. You're going to get into habits of being silent. You're going to work on being present, but then you're going to realize, oh wait, those thoughts are still going. But now you're watching the thoughts. You're not the thoughts. Right? And then what you'll realize is when you're so aware, thought process is coming. Oh, I see it. I'll bring it back to silent. Just like Dustin said. Every time you do that and you're aware, oh, no, bring it back to the present moment. That's a win and a win and a win and a win. And those wins compound. It's a compounding effect. Okay? So that's going to happen. And be ready for it because it's going to happen. But here's a really good thing to realize. When you're in service to others, anything at all that you do good. You have a good deed that you do, or you're in service. You conversate with somebody when they need to have a conversation. Simple. Every deed that you do that is of high vibrational frequency and that's in service to others, the universe has no choice but to return that in tenfold. Tenfold. So, one of the things that I try to practice is to, and it's not because of an egoic attachment, right? It's just because we're in service and we're doing good. 15 to 20% of my income, I don't have any direction of how I do it. It's just the universe presents itself, and if it's needed, here, boom. When I go out, I grew up in the restaurant industry, so, when I go out, I tip, like, massively. And now there's no concept of why or how or what I should do, or I feel good about tipping them big or giving them money. But, again, if I am in habit of being in service with my income, well, then the universe has no choice but to return it tenfold, right? Same thing with love. If I want to experience more love, then I need to cultivate love and be in service with love. And every time I'm in service with love, the universe has no choice but to return that love tenfold back to me. Now, what happens along the way is I do those good deeds, the universe is bringing it to me, and right before it gets to me, something triggers me, and it causes me to separate myself from it, and boom, I push it away. Because I'm not ready for it. I haven't learned my lesson. But if we can silence the mind, we can be present, we can be in service, and we can do good for ourselves and for everyone around us in whatever capacity shows up. You don't know how it's going to show up. You can never know how it's going to manifest. You may want green, but it might show up blue. And when it does, have no expectation. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I got a blue one. And let that be. And from moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, live in this state of singularity, the state of union, the state of yoga. And realize that by doing this, you're giving God the work to do. You no longer have to do the work.
Beautiful. I've been reading a lot about, I've been reading the Bhagavad Gita, which I talked about. Which it's a Hindu book. But when we were talking with your friend Alexandra the other day, we're talking about how Jesus was misrepresented. It's kind of off topic, but a little bit in the same direction. One of the Jesus is quoted saying, because you were talking to Josh about worries and stuff like that. We quoted a Bible verse yesterday, or was that today?
Not
sure. That was yesterday. It was like basically like if. I wish we had the Bible verse to look at because I'm butchering it. But
you brought your Bible.
No, I brought
that was a Dead Sea Scrolls.
The wrong one, man.
Well, I mean, if anybody reads the Bible, everybody kind of knows what it is.
And when Josh is talking, it's not like I can think of key things that Christians talk about or people who are go to church and know the Bible. I'm constantly pulling things out of my head. Well, that's what they mean by like allowing yourself to be the vessel for God. It's like emptying yourself to allow God to work through you is your purpose.
Yeah, so on that,
and then the verse you were talking about was like, if I'm going, if I clothe the sheep, if I take care of the birds, if the grass grows, why do you think that I wouldn't take care of you, my child? It's
kind of like at the end of that verse, that the parable or whatever, the teaching, he says, "Cast your worries on me, for my yoke is easy."
Right.
Yoga's literal translation is yoke. Or I'm sorry. Yoga means yoke. That's what it means.
Yeah,
so when
which
Jesus
also
was talking,
means union.
Yeah, Jesus was saying my union is easy to align with me in what I'm doing, and he was not claiming to be actual God. It was, I fully believe that most of the scriptures that Jesus studied as a child was the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, and like the spiritual
the Essenes, Gospel
scriptures
of
from
Peace.
Shiva, the Shiva scriptures, whatever they're called, the Hindu scriptures, and reading them right now like I am, it's literally every word that Jesus has ever spoke. And these books were written, 6,000 years before Jesus ever walked the earth.
Well, even like a lot of these things were taken from like the Emerald Tablets, and these things were created 36,000 years ago. So like, I
I've
mean,
shared something with you the other day that they had they found this like back in like 1980 or 70 or something.
Oh yeah, that cup.
They found that iron casted bowl or cup, and it was dated back 300 million years ago.
That's wild.
300 million years. I mean, that right there just blows the manipulated, westernized Christian outlook out the door.
Well, it blows a lot of it out the door. Just think about. It makes you think that like how many just civilizations and different types of Earths that have happened in 300 million years. Because I remember seeing the picture. It was like a perfectly sculpted cast iron teapot.
They found it in a coal, in like in a big rock of coal, and so
in Oklahoma, or it was in Arkansas.
I think it was in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was studying this other thing with Billy Carson, and he was talking about how those things didn't actually originate here. That Earth was actually a part of a bigger planet called Tima. Okay, there was a large planet called Tima that went through some type of issue with gravitational pulls and got rammed into,
Global
and
warming.
it broke up into what we now know as the asteroid belt, and that our Earth and Mars were all part of that large planet that ended up in their orbit and gravitational rotation, right, in their position now because of the size that was left over. And then when the planets get into a certain zone of the solar system, because science has proven this, you can look this up, all planets at a very specific rate are very slowly expanding away from the sun. And when the planets go through what's called this like Goldilocks zone, they are primitive for life. And so, but it's important to know that when we came through the Goldilocks zone and our life came through, there was actually something far way before us that we were a part of. And then it gets into, okay, well, other civilizations, right? There's other ancient, highly advanced civilizations. There's thousands of them, and probably infinite, because the universe is infinite. And we know that there's over billions of planets that are like super inhabitable, even more habitable than Earth. We now know that Mars has water all over it and can support life. But like, why would they tell us that it's just a dust bowl planet? Now we have scientists telling us that the moon was actually artificially structured. It's an artificial object. It's not naturally placed there. It was placed there specifically. So get ready, everybody, because the information we're about to bring to you, and that it's not us bringing you the information, it's the top scientists, it's the top knowledge of the world, it's the ancient scriptures, the tablets, Epic of Gilgamesh, the Sumerian tablets, the Emerald tablets, the Vedas, look all over the world, and it's all saying the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, why have we been lied to so many years? It's like, well, I guess there's an example. It's like, I'm going to butcher this too, but it's like a mosquito can jump like 36 feet high or some shit. But if you put his ass in a jar and he gets accustomed to only being able to jump as high as the lid of the jar is, and then his offspring or their offspring, they grow up thinking that they can only jump as high as the lid. And so like you're constantly suppressing all of these gifts that you have and these abilities that you have to be the god of your universe. Because you've been in this jar thinking that you can only jump as high as the lid when you can go as far as you can create.
That's absolutely right. There was another example that was given the other day. It was like you can put a frog in a lukewarm pan of water and then turn the heat on. And by the time that the water is boiling, the frog just continues to sit there because it knows no difference from the time that it was in. And before the frog can even realize that the water is boiling, the frog is already cooked. And so what has happened is that the so-called elites or lineages of these beings that have been working to manipulate and control understand that each person, right, is creating this world, right? And then there's a collective experience, but essentially we're all only here by ourselves, but we're also in a collective experience. And so if they can control the vibrational frequency of how we think, what we say, what we do, what we're capable of, and what we believe we're limited to, right? Well, then they stay in control. But what's happening is we're waking up. And we're realizing that each and every one of us is God, the infinite creator, and that we create this world every moment, every second of every day, of every week, of every year. And if we all wake up to this, and what's beautiful about it is the light outweighs the dark, right? So just a real small percentage of the people on this planet raise their frequency and have these realizations, well, then the whole system topples from them and whatever they're trying to do. And our experience of love and abundance and free energy and feeding every mouth on the planet and bringing power, free power that costs no fossil fuels, literally launching us into 1,000 years of golden age interstellar civilization. We will populate the entire interstellar civilization across all the planetary spheres. We will then move into being able to bilocate into different dimensions, different galaxies, not from traveling from here for billions of light years, but being able to go from here to there like that. And some of these concepts might seem crazy, but I'm telling you, if you stay present, if you let go of the attachment, if you learn how to abide in the silence and infinity of our Creator, and you just show up in the highest vibrational frequency of yourself with love, and you are in service, we will all be there to share that beautiful moment.
Beautiful. And, to the idea of being able to manifest instantly, that's actually like ancient knowledge. You read, I keep talking about Hindu books, but they all talk about that all the time. Books that were written 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago talk about the ability to be able to do that. It's not like a actual mystery thing. It's been handed down forever.
Yeah,
people
this
doing
is
it.
not new
And
information.
I truly believe that's what people, when they say the resurrection of Jesus, that's what was happening. He conquered the grave, so to speak, to show people, to raise their frequency, to say that, hey, this is not the end-all, be-all. I died. Everybody saw me die. My body's no longer in here, and I'm appearing to you because I'm coming back from another realm. And if you read the law of one, the raw material, that's what it talks about, Jesus being, and anybody that does any type of channeling says the same thing. The book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda talks about that and like how he did it, and actually has an experience with Jesus himself that manifested in front of him. It was really cool. The whole book it's very long. If you start the book at chapter 42 and go from there to the end, that's where the real meat of it
From
is.
42 to the end?
42
I'm going
to
to do
the
that.
end.
I got it right over here.
The other parts are real good, but it's really about his life as a teenager and stuff like that. But that's really good, is the 42 to the end. It's like the last 8 chapters, real short chapters.
That's incredible. And too, one last thing. We're going to wrap this up because we're getting a little stretched here, but what a beautiful freaking podcast, guys.
Boom.
This is amazing. But check this out. So Jesus was a higher dimensional being that incarnated in a human body that we call Jesus, or really Yeshua is his name. It's not Jesus, right? It's Yeshua. And then, like you said, he had died, and then his body disappeared, and then he appeared back from a different realm. Well, we have stadium fulls of cosmic family. I like to call them our cosmic family because that's what they are. They're here to help us and to love us and to guide us through this thing. And so as we raise our frequency up, we're getting into the fourth dimension, right? As we're raising our frequency up, now I believe in that time that Jesus or Yeshua was a fourth dimensional being that incarnated on earth. And at that time, it was like coming out of second density into the beginning octaves of third density. Okay, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. Well, now we're at the end of third density, which is why our consciousness is developed and we're able to understand and comprehend, and these, these spiritual understandings and gifts are coming through. Well, as we raise our frequency, well, then we're going to begin experiencing higher dimensional beings such as angels, extraterrestrials, different dimensional beings. We will begin to experience them in our experience, because as we raise ours, they can lower theirs just slightly, right? And then we're making and reprinting and creating realities and worlds and realms and dimensions where we have an experience together. And so we're going to, I believe, that we will begin to see avatars on this earth that resemble the Buddha and Yeshua and all of these beautiful things. And I believe there's a lot of us that will begin, as we continue to abide in this beautiful silent void, our vibrations will raise to such a frequency that it will seem like miracles are happening for us. Others will see and they will go, "What? How is that happening?" It is a miracle that I just witnessed that. And so everyone has this opportunity to arrive at this vibrational frequency and to be able to perform miracles and to have just the most beautiful experience you could ever imagine. So keep following along, because we are going to get deep, y'all. We're going to get so deep into this that
You're going to moan.
yo, man, I'll tell you what. We are the Diesel Daddies. Money Murdoch is here with us
Thanks for having
today.
me.
We love you guys. We're out.
Peace.
Peace.
Oh, that was fun.
That was a good one.
That was.